Good evening, everyone. Thank you for participating in Tarion's 2026 annual public meeting. My name is Jennifer Spear, and I'll be your moderator. I'll begin with the meeting with a land acknowledgement on behalf of Tarion. We acknowledge the Indigenous and ancestral lands on which all new homes in Ontario are built. Tarion's corporate office and this venue is located on the ancestral lands of the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples. Tonight's annual public meeting is a hybrid format involving both the participants in this room, as well as we have over 300 people registered online, and it's part of our live stream. So this meeting is being recorded, and it will be available on Tarion's website at a later date. To begin, I'll introduce the members of a senior leadership team who will be part of the panel this evening. To my immediate left is the chair of the board of directors, Marni Dicker. Next is Tarion President and CEO, Peter Balasubramanian. Chief Risk Officer, Edmond Lee. Vice President of Warranty Services, Sophie Vodhuskis. And Vice President of Underwriting, Kevin Brody. For tonight's agenda, we'll begin with a video message from the Minister of Public and Business Service Delivery and Procurement. This will be followed by remarks from the board chair, Marni Dicker, a presentation by Edmond Lee, and remarks by Peter Balasubramanian, the CEO. We'll also have a question and answer period. Our Q&A will be divided into two parts to accommodate the mix of questions that are typically asked. The first part of the Q&A will run until approximately 6:30 p.m. and will be open for general questions from both the audience here today as well as those joining us virtually. And it will be live streamed and recorded. So there's some people that may not be comfortable asking specific file questions. As a greater opportunity to address the type of questions that we receive, Tarion warranty and underwriting staff will be available at the back of the room to address specific questions from 6:30 to 7 p.m. We'll also have staff available online to respond to any emails from online participants. In addition, Tom Barber is here, the Tarion ombudsperson, who will also be available on site for anyone who wants to ask. We have a room back there you can talk to him and for those of you online, if you wish to contact him, you can send an email and his office will be able to follow up. Finally, the panelists will also remain to address individual questions during that time. The meeting is then going to wrap up around 7 p.m. Before we move to the presentations, just a note for those of you online, if you would like to submit a question, you can do so by emailing them to events@tarion.com. If you would prefer that your question not be read out publicly, you can just indicate that in your email, and we'll reach out to you after the live stream portion once the meeting has concluded. So we'll now start things off by introducing this video message from the Minister, which is going to be followed by remarks from our board chair.
Hello, everyone. On behalf of Ontario's Ministry of Public and Business Service Delivery and Procurement, it's a pleasure to join Tarion virtually as you hold your annual public meeting. To President and CEO Peter Balasubramanian, I am grateful for your leadership over the past year. And to your many hardworking staff members, thank you for your commitment day in and day out to administering the Ontario New Home Warranties Plan Act, and for your work every day to strengthen consumer confidence in the new home building sector. This year, you celebrate an impressive milestone, 50 years in operation. And as usual, you have had a very busy year. Since your last annual public meeting, you have continued to innovate and strengthen protections. Illegal building, for example, puts consumers at risk and results in uneven playing field for builders who build and sell homes in accordance with the law. We have equipped Tarion with the ability to identify illegal building sooner with the larger aim of curbing it altogether. Tarion's new notification requirements for freehold home purchases further protects for Ontario's new home buyers, identifying illegal builders early on, stopping further illegal sales, and holding illegal builders behind those sales to account. Developed in close partnership with Tarion, our new mandatory information sheets deliver a decisive blow against illegal building by protecting consumers before they sign a contract. This tool brings critical details to light at the very start of a transaction, completely eliminating the gray areas where unregistered operators hide. By establishing this united front, we have put a powerful shield directly into the hands of Ontario homebuyers. We have been proud to collaborate with you for the past half-century to help protect people in Ontario as they not only invest in their future, but in our province's future as well. Our work together to continually enhance the housing marketplace remains one of our most steadfast commitments, and I know Tarion views its responsibilities towards homebuyers in the very same light. And I know there is even more down the road for us as we strive to make our province the best place for individuals and families to make homeownership dream come true. It's been a pleasure addressing you virtually today, and please accept my best wishes for a productive and enjoyable meeting.
Good evening, everyone. I'm pleased to be attending my first annual public meeting as Tarion's new board chair. I took over this role in April, replacing Andy Kennens, who stepped down after 9 years of service to our board. I would like to take a moment to thank Andy for all of his contributions. I would also like to thank the minister for sharing his message as part of the meeting. This year, Tarion is marking a major milestone. 50 years of helping Ontario new home buyers with the biggest purchase of their lives. Established in 1976, Tarion has supported Ontario homebuyers by administering the statutory warranty protections set out in the Ontario New Home Warranties Act. As a nonprofit organization operating independent of industry, our role is to help homeowners and builders come to a resolution if there are disputes about the builder's warranty on a new home. If builders are unable or unwilling to resolve a warranted defect, we can help provide financial compensation to the homeowner and then hold the builder accountable under the warranty program rules. Tarion also acts as a limited financial safety net if builders do not meet their obligations to consumers by providing deposit protection if projects collapse or builders become insolvent and are unable to deliver the homes. Over the years, Tarion has helped thousands of consumers who would have suffered devastating financial losses without these protections. In the past 5 decades, there have been well over 2.5 million homes enrolled in the Ontario New Home Warranty Program. Each of these represented an individual, couple, family, who not only received 7 years of warranty coverage on their home, but also protections like deposit coverage and delayed closing before they took possession. Whether it's before or after they receive the keys to their new home, Tarion is here to support Ontarians throughout their home buying journey. I am here representing Tarion's Board of Directors, which is a key part of the organization's governance structure. And the board are responsible for the overall stewardship of the organization. The board is not involved in the day-to-day operations of the company. That's the role of management. On screen, you will see a slide identifying all of our current board members. A number of members are here with us today, while we have the rest with us virtually. More information about our board composition, including member bios, can be found on the Tarion website. As noted earlier by our moderator, our new home ombudsperson, Tom Barber, is also with us this evening. The New Home Ombuds Office is an independent and confidential resource available to homeowners. They report directly to the Board of Directors. The office responds to homeowner inquiries and provides recommendations to Tarion regarding any case-specific or systemic issues that they identify. And they monitor the implementation of those recommendations. Each year, the New Home Ombuds Office publishes their annual report that details their findings and recommendations. I encourage you to visit their website or seek out Tom after the meeting if you have any specific questions. As I mentioned at the outset, this is Tarion's 50th year of supporting Ontario new home buyers. Throughout 5 decades, the new home market has weathered a number of ups and downs. In the past year, new home construction activity continued to be at a low, and Tarion's role is more important than ever, given that challenges in the housing market and the current volatility in global markets. New home possessions have remained high in 2025, with over 50,000 Ontarians moving into new homes. Over 98% of those new homeowners have registered on the My Home Tarion portal to seamlessly communicate their warranty service issues with their builders. As at the end of 2025, about 400,000 homes in Ontario remain protected under the new home warranty, which sets out a minimum 7-year warranty commitment to builders, and which remains today one of the most comprehensive warranty programs in the country. Throughout Tarion's 50-year history, the organization and the warranty it administers has continued to evolve to meet the needs of new home buyers, and it continues to do so. The organization remains well-positioned to support homeowners and builders during this recessionary period, and we remain committed to continuous improvement of our services and resources. On behalf of the Board of Directors, thank you. Thank you for taking the time to join us this evening. I will now pass it over to Edmond Lee, Tarion's Vice President and Chief Risk Officer, who will provide an overview of financial highlights and operational metrics. Thank you.
Thank you, Marni. I'll be walking you through the results for the year ended December 31st, 2025. And I'll start by taking a step back and setting some context. The residential building environment went through a pretty significant downturn in 2025, really something we haven't seen since the real estate crash in the 90s. And that's shown up in a significant increase in receivership activity for builders. At a national level, distressed real estate sales reached about $1.4 billion, which is unfortunately nearly double where we were in 2023. And that's being driven largely by what we're seeing in the Greater Toronto Area. In the GTA specifically, new housing sales have dropped to historic lows, levels we have not seen in over 4 decades. So when you look at that together, it really points to a growing financial pressure on both builders and consumers, and that's ultimately what's translating into higher receivership activity. 2025 saw elevated unemployment and ongoing trade uncertainty weighing on both home buyer and builder confidence. Lower sales, higher levels of builder bankruptcies, all added to housing pressure. This stressed housing environment led to more homeowners turning to the warranty program for help. Our consumer support payouts in 2025 remained at historically high levels. And against that backdrop, Tarion reported a deficit of $9.1 million in 2025. Notwithstanding the external economic stress, the corporation's capital, or net worth, ended the year at $190 million, which allows Tarion to reliably sustain the warranty program and safeguard the protection program for homeowners and consumers. This next slide drills deeper into the growing trend in receiverships, including impacts to new home purchasers, especially during 2024 and 2025. All of the receiverships are connected in some way to the residential housing space, with some receiverships impacting new home warranties more directly than others. Most of these cases have been concentrated in the condo segment, along with projects captured in the other category. While the other category carries more limited direct exposure to new home purchasers, it remains important as it can signal broader stress across the developmental industry. While it is too early to identify concrete trends, we can say that the number of receiverships year to date in 2026 is lower than what we saw in either 2024 or 2025. So if this trend continues, we may be seeing more resilience in the sector, which would be reason for some optimism. Now, turning now to the operating results for the year versus last year, insurance revenue was stable, down just over 1%, reflecting the normal release pattern of revenue as contracts move through their warranty periods. For those not familiar with the accounting methodology, the basic idea is that when we receive revenue on a home enrolled in a program, that revenue does not show up in our operating statements immediately when it is received. This is because of the time lag between when a home is enrolled, which is during the construction phase, and when the majority of the warranty work related to that home potentially arise, which happens after possession. For this reason, enrollment fees are taken into revenue and invested when they are received, but they are released over time into our operating statements. The more significant movement is related to insurance service expenses, which were up 34%, mainly driven by higher claims activity, particularly receivership-related deposit losses, along with some large structural claims. Investment income was also down just under 11%, largely because about $20 million was withdrawn from the guarantee fund to support claims and claims-related services, which reduces the amount available to invest. That said, the fund still returned 6.7% and outperformed its benchmark. So overall, the key takeaway here is higher claims activity in 2025, and this was fully supported by the enrollment fees collected in prior years, and the guarantee fund remains resilient. Turning to the balance sheet asset side, cash and cash equivalents declined, mainly reflecting the $78 million in claim payments made during the year, including roughly $44 million related to receivership deposits. Since 2023, that total is now about $123 million. The guarantee fund still performed well and generated about $42 million in returns. But again, overall investment balances declined as funds were drawn down to support claims and claims-related services. From a reinsurance perspective, Tarion continues to manage catastrophic risk conservatively, with another $26 million in recoveries expected. On the liability side, insurance contract liabilities decreased by about 9% or $36 million. That's mainly due to the settlement of receivership deposit claims, along with the normal earning of revenue as warranty coverage progresses. These liabilities still support over 397,000 homes under warranty. And as mentioned earlier, Tarion's ending equity position of $190 million remains a strong base to sustain proper service to our homeowners. To preserve and replenish capital, Tarion has utilized tools such as excess loss reinsurance, where Tarion has purchased annual warranty and deposit claim exposures, providing a capital backstop. The capital replenishment fee, which facilitates timely reestablishment of protection of homeowners against future catastrophic claims. And finally, stress testing for solvency, which involves Tarion and its actuaries evaluating impacts of adverse scenarios on its financial position. Ultimately, Tarion operates with a mindset of a prudent insurer and a sustainable nonprofit, so that sufficient capital is available to respond to future claims and events so that we can continue protecting homeowners. I will now invite our CIO, Peter Balasubramanian, to make some remarks.
Thank you, Edmond. In today's presentation, I will touch on the following topics: what we're seeing in the new home marketplace today and in 2025, Ontario's approach to deposit protection, our consumer education activities, some of our operational statistics, and conclude by looking at some of the consumer feedback we've received in areas for continuous improvement. So let's begin with some observations about the new home marketplace in 2025 and what we're seeing most recently. Now, as Edmond already made clear, 2025 was characterized by a lot of uncertainty in the new home market, with overall home sales activity and enrollments in the warranty program reaching historic lows. Today, the residential housing market remains under significant pressure due to a number of factors that have impacted consumer confidence levels. Housing is a critical government priority, and we're seeing unprecedented levels of collaboration from every level of government, federal, provincial, municipal, to address foundational issues which have made it hard for people trying to buy new homes. While we at Tarion remain conservative in our forecasting for new home sales over the next 3 years, recent policy changes spearheaded by the provincial government, in particular the HST rebate for new homes, signal meaningful progress towards easing affordability pressures and reinforcing confidence in the housing market. The policy changes have already made a measurable impact in the data that we see at Tarion. We've seen an increase in sector confidence, with more builders bringing forward plans for future home sales. Home sale activity increased sharply in April and May, and so has the number of homes enrolled in the warranty program, with the number of homes enrolled in May almost tripling the number that was enrolled in April. All of these are positive signals reflecting optimism and confidence on the part of builders and new home buyers, but we still need to remain cautious. As the market regains confidence, more Ontarians will be in a position to realize their dream of home ownership, and they may be ready to place deposits down on a new home. 2025, however, was a stark reminder that a deep market correction can lead to builder insolvencies and place home deposits at risk. In 2025, there were over 20 receiverships that were related to the residential sector, which is more than double what we would typically see in a normal year. For homeowners caught up in such proceedings, Ontario's deposit warranty program was able to provide relief. In 2025, Tarion supported consumers with more than $40 million in deposit protection support. These amounts would have been financial losses for these home buyers if not for the program. I'm proud that the Ontario Deposit Protection Program is one of the most comprehensive levels of deposit protection available anywhere in Canada. The Universal Protection Program works in conjunction with condominium legislation to ensure that all new home buyers have peace of mind when placing a deposit on a new home. For freehold purchasers, the program can provide up to $100,000 protection for those that sign up for it. Signing up for the Deposit Protection Program itself is free and simple. Within the first 45 days after you sign an agreement of purchase and sale to buy a new freehold home, you can sign up online for the deposit program on Tarion's website. It takes about a minute. We ask you to provide us with your name, your contact information, the name of your builder, information about your deposit. And by informing Tarion that you've signed a purchase agreement, you can be assured your deposit is secure if something happens and if you don't receive your home. And the early notice also gives us the opportunity to confirm to you that your builder is licensed, that it's approved to sell, and it lets us provide new home buyers with important information about their warranty long before they get the keys to their house. If we discover that the builder is not complying with the law, we can also take action immediately and early. In 2025, we also introduced a new requirement for builders which will further help combat illegal building and selling. Each new home agreement in Ontario now has to include a unique ID number. Home buyers can then use that ID number to register their purchase agreements with Tarion, and we can use it to confirm that the builder is in compliance with their obligations under the legislation easily. To date, we've already had more than 18,000 new home buyers sign up for the Deposit Protection Program, and we in turn have been able to provide early and helpful warranty information to them, and we've used that information to identify non-compliant builders. The sign up for the Deposit Protection Plan provides us with a critical link to early consumer education, but it isn't the only channel that we use. While we've done a great deal of outreach to educate new home buyers about their rights and responsibilities before and after they sign a purchase agreement, we also prioritize education for homeowners, particularly in the early days after they take in and move into their house. We hold new homeowner information sessions to support them with information about their builder's warranty, the claims process, and how we can help. In 2025, we achieved our goal of reaching out to almost every homeowner who took possession during that year, and we held 17 in-person and virtual sessions with over 3,000 participants. So far this year, we've already held 6 sessions with almost 2,000 attendees. In addition to educating homeowners on the warranty and the steps to resolve claims, we continue to improve digital tools to make communications easier and clearer. Over the past year, we've enhanced our Home Hub tool that gives homeowners and builders a platform where they can share updates about the progress of warranty repairs. It works within the My Home portal that homeowners already use to submit warranty claims, and it addresses a need voiced by homeowners for more clarity in the warranty process. We added helpful features like an interactive timeline so that homeowners can track where they are in the process, a case page which groups all the information in one place, and we also integrated our Home Explorer tool, which helps homeowners easily look up the construction performance guidelines that are relevant to them. We also created a dashboard for builders so they can better track the progress of warranty items and help with their own logistics. Home Hub has been popular. 835 builders and over 55,000 homeowners are using it in 2025, and they're using it to facilitate communication and the resolution of warranty items. We also addressed feedback that we've received on the reports that homeowners receive after warranty inspection at their home. And for those that aren't familiar, the conciliation really refers to the on-site inspection that takes place to review items that have been submitted by a homeowner. After the conciliation inspection, Tarion will issue a conciliation assessment report which summarizes the outcome and whether or not the items are warranted under the program. In some cases, a homeowner may also request a decision letter if they want to appeal the decision, and in 2025, we implemented new tools to improve the clarity and consistency of those 2 key pieces of communication. As was noted earlier, housing starts and sales were low in 2025, but possessions remained high. Over 50,000 Ontarians moved into new homes in 2025, and many of them used the My Home portal to communicate with their builder about warranty service requests. And many also reached out to Tarion's customer service and warranty services teams for information and support. In 2025, our customer service team fielded over 45,000 calls and almost 100,000 emails. The majority came from homeowners. There were also 45,000 construction warranty lists provided by homeowners to their builders, and 98% of them were resolved through the regular claims process facilitated by Tarion's processes. This means that the vast majority of Ontario builders, even in this difficult time, continue to use Tarion customer service rules and work with their customers to resolve after-sales issues without the need for major escalation. Of the approximately 5,000 situations where someone in Ontario felt they needed to ask for a Tarion inspection, half of those were resolved after working through issues with their builder and using the Tarion process. Overall, in 2025, Tarion helped Ontarians with over $77 million in consumer compensation. This number continues to reflect how important a consumer protection program like the New Home Warranty Program can be when economic pressures increase the likelihood of builder bankruptcies. I will now conclude my remarks by looking at a couple of the areas of consumer feedback from 2025 and talk about continuous improvement. Now, each year, we use a third party to conduct surveys about our performance. We reach out to almost everyone who interacts with us. In terms of our overall customer service survey results, our homeowner satisfaction rate in 2025 was 83%, slightly more than the prior year, reinforcing that we're moving in the right direction. We also survey homeowners who contact our customer service team and who participate in a conciliation. In 2025, we received a 91% satisfaction rating from those who interacted with our customer service team, either by phone or by email. And we also received positive feedback from homeowners when they experienced an inspection from a Tarion staff person in their home. In 2025, homeowners gave an 83% satisfaction rating for their conciliation inspection experience. Finally, of the almost 2,500 warranty assessments that we made in 2025, 120 homeowners used our independent mediation program to help resolve their concerns, and 75 homeowners escalated their file for a review by the Independent Warranty Appeals Tribunal. That's about 1%. With this being Tarion's 50th year, we are celebrating how far we've come as an organization, but also how we can seize opportunities to keep improving. We want to improve consumer confidence in the new home market and the warranty program. We still hear from time to time criticisms that the process can take too long or it's complex. Some consumers advised that they didn't fully appreciate the warranty process until they had a claim to make. These represent opportunities to continue to examine the warranty program and look for ways to make it even better. I look forward to what the future holds, and that concludes my presentation this evening. I want to thank all of you for taking the time to join us.
Thank you, Peter. Now, as promised, we're going to move into the first part of our question and answer period. As we have attendees both here in person and virtually, we'll be taking questions from the room as well as those that are online. If you are here and you have a question, you can make your way to the microphone, and I'll ask that each person ask one question at a time when it's your turn. If you have a second question, I'll ask that you let others take their chance before you ask your second one. We've organized it this way just to make sure that as many people as possible have an opportunity to ask their question before you ask your second or further question. And in terms of asking your question, in order to help us hear from as many people as possible, I would ask that you try to keep your question as direct and brief as you can to be fair to everyone. If it's taken too long to get to your question, I may have to interrupt you, and I don't want to have to do that. As I mentioned at the outset, for those online, you can submit your question by emailing them to events@tarion.com. We're going to close this portion of the Q&A at about 6:30, at which time we'll move into the second part of the Q&A where people can ask more file-specific questions. Let's begin with the first question.
Good evening or afternoon. Peter, hi Sophie. I'm a homeowner from Innisfil, Ontario, and my question is related to our situation, but more broadly speaking. So under Tarion's oversight, the builder has concealed visible and documented fungal growth within our home. Tarion frequently emphasizes transparency, fairness, and consumer protection. And my question is, how is it consistent with the principles, with those principles to permit a builder to conceal known conditions without any accountability? And how do you ensure that consumer protection gets applied across the board consistently, regardless of how powerful or influential a builder might be?
Thank you.
Well, first, I just want to thank you for the question, and I appreciate that you came here in person to share your story. I know that's not easy to do. I want to address your question in two ways. So the first one is about your personal situation. I obviously can't speak to your file from this stage, but don't confuse that for indifference. I really want to work through it with you. I know Sophie Vlahakis shares my perspective. We will be here for the second half, and I invite you to come and speak to us in person where we can talk about the details of your file. I obviously can't speak to it in this forum. With respect to the broader question that I think is important and fair to ask. There are two themes I'm pulling out of it. One is the idea of how do we enforce the rules of the warranty program against builders, regardless of their influence or size or how much money the builder, how deep pockets are in the builder. And I can assure you that our approach to enforcing the rules and regulations of the warranty program are done regardless of who the builder is, what his name or her name is, or where they come from, or what their business is. We try to enforce them based on the rules in the regulations. And, you know, there are demonstrable examples of cases we've brought against large builders or small builders when it's appropriate to hold them accountable. At the end of the day, I think at a high level, the industry shares some of the same consumer protection objectives. Most builders want to deliver a great home and have a great relationship with their clients. And most builders, when they talk to me, say, hey, what we want you to do is hold the poor builders accountable. And we do that. You know, builders that have bad conduct, we try to do that. And it's done irrespective of who they are. In terms of the last theme in your question, you mentioned, well, what about the active concealment of a defect? Now, again, I can't speak to the specifics of it from this stage, but I am comfortable saying that if there's evidence of a builder intentionally and actively concealing a defect, I mean, I don't think that's in the spirit of the warranty legislation. And I'm sure that if you talk to a builder, and there are some builders in this room, they would agree with you that that's not conduct that should be acceptable.
Thank you. I look forward to speaking to you a little bit more.
Thank you.
Peter, maybe I just add a little bit there as well with regards to the accountability piece. You talked a little bit about that, but at the end of the day, when Sophie's group would go out and assess the defects in the home, and if there are in fact defects in the home, when that builder would come back for approvals on the underwriting side of things, that would be taken into consideration. So depending on the severity of the defects that are reported and that are assessed as valid or as warranted from Sophie's group, then on the underwriting side, which is my side, we would look at that and take that into consideration for any future approvals, or even in severe cases, ones that we're currently dealing with. And it could go as far as there could be additional financial consequences to that builder, or if it's significant enough, they may not be able to get approval from us to build future projects as well.
Thank you, Kevin. We'll go to the next question in the room as well. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Kian Swarabi. I have a few questions, but they're pretty much yes or no's, and at the very end, I have two things, but I'll be quick, I promise.
We'll try one, okay.
It'll be very quick. They're related, that's why. When a deficiency is serious, complex, life safety related, or outside Tarion staff's internal expertise, does Tarion typically retain a professional engineer or qualified consultant to define the proper technical scope of work?
So I'm going to answer the question, but it won't be a yes. It won't maybe not be the yes or no you're looking for.
So would you like me to continue before, and then you could just answer everything at once?
Well, why don't I just answer and we'll just go back and forth on this, okay? So the first part of the question, you know, about serious issues that arise, and remember, I'm answering you, but I'm also speaking to a larger audience. So one of the important things to understand about the customer service standard is, you know, it's largely aimed at creating a way to aggregate simple defects. But if you have a serious issue, you can make an emergency claim and we'll try to deal with it right away. That being said, the first thing that we do is we look to the builder, because it is the builder's warranty. And I can tell you that many builders, even when there is an emergency, water coming in through the roof or a tree branch breaking a skylight, I mean, these are things that happen, that builders respond to that right away. So the first thing we will do is we will work with the builder to see if they'll respond to the emergency.
To go on with my next question, it's once Tarion retains a professional engineer or consultant, is that professional expected to provide an independent technical opinion based on building science, code, safety, durability, performance, and intended use?
Yeah, I think if Tarion ends up hiring an expert, I think we do expect them to bring to bear their expertise on the question that we're asking them to examine.
Okay. Is it Tarion's position that staff may influence, alter, reduce, narrow, or omit portions of that professional's technical scope?
Well, I'm not totally sure I follow the breadth of the question, but I'll say this. I mean, to me, an expert should be independent, and they should have the last word on what goes into their final report. I know sometimes there can be communication issues between the scope of what an expert is looking at and what needs to be done in the file. So I think there are areas where, there can be some discussions, but I do think that ultimately, if an expert's going to sign their signature to a report, they need to be prepared to stand by that professional opinion as an independent expert.
My very last closing. Will Tarion establish a clear written policy confirming that professional engineer reports and scopes cannot be altered, reduced, or omitted by Tarion staff unless the change is clearly documented, disclosed to owners, and reviewed and approved by the professional responsible for the scope? Very lastly, and will Tarion commit to disclosing the relevant communications, scope instructions, consultant records, estimating inputs, and approval when homeowners raise concerns about altered scopes, omitted scopes, consultant independence, or conflict of interest?
Okay, so I'm appreciating that you're not happy with how we handle an expert matter. I can't speak to it in general. If there's a specific question that we can look at, I invite you to stay for the second part. But as a general matter, I certainly am open to listening to suggestions on what we can put on for example, on the public website to make our position on expert reports more clear. And if you have suggestions to make, I'd be happy to receive them.
Okay.
Thank you. Melanie, do we have any online questions?
Yes, we do. At a previous public meeting, the Tarion CEO stated that all a homeowner had to do was write the defect they observed. He then said he thought it was enough to trigger their process and he did not think there was any requirement to prove a cause. Can he clarify what is the Tarion triggered process he spoke of? And can he clearly define what the onus on a home buyer is after they have discovered a defect and wrote the defect they observed on their Tarion year-end report?
Thank you.
Yeah, I think that's kind of a fundamental question that it's important to clarify in terms of how the warranty process works. So in Ontario, if you're a homeowner, you move into your house and you have a problem, let's say there's water coming in through a window. The warranty process is triggered first by writing what you see. There's water coming in through the window. You provide that to your builder, and the process anticipates or expects that the builder is going to resolve that issue. If the builder doesn't resolve the issue, you've started the process by describing the defect. You don't need to explain the exact cause of the defect at this stage. You don't need to show why the water is coming through the window. Saying that the water is coming through the window is enough to start the process. Tarion may then do an inspection, we may make findings, and depending on the outcome of that, the nature of what a homeowner may have to do to advance their claim might change, but the opening piece remains the same. To start the process in Ontario, you just need to describe the defect as you see it.
Okay, thank you. Can we go to the next one in line, please?
Hi, my question was briefly touched on earlier about conflict of interest. So if a warranty services rep had a prior employment relationship with a contractor retained on their files, and that relationship was not proactively disclosed, would that constitute a conflict of interest under Tarion's Code of Business Conduct?
Thank you.
I think that's a fair question, and I'm trying to put myself in your shoes. If I thought that there was a linkage between a Tarion employee and a contractor, it would raise fairness questions. I know we do have policies around the length of time that has to elapse, so not every relationship necessarily would be captured, but if it was close in time, It could be. I wouldn't be able to say definitively or not. But I will say this. I will say that we take conflicts of interest very seriously. And issues where Tarion staff are connected to the builder, for example, we take that very seriously. And we have policies in place to ensure that those connections are addressed. If you have a situation like that and you want to talk to me about it, again, I can't really speak to it to this stage, but I'd be happy to listen to what the issue is. And I think if we unpack it a little bit, I'm sure we'll get a better sense of what's going on.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We're going to take our next question online again. I understand we have several there.
This is a short one. Why do most homeowners lose at the License Appeal Tribunal?
So the License Appeal Tribunal, for those that aren't aware of what it is, that's the independent tribunal. It's set up by the provincial government. It reports into the Ministry of the Attorney General. It's not connected to Tarion in any way, and it's really the final stop in the dispute resolution process. If Tarion makes a decision, the decision is disagreed with by the homeowner. In Ontario, you can take it to the License Appeal Tribunal. Cases that go, statistically, cases that go to the License Appeal Tribunal, Tarion has a high rate of our decisions being upheld. And I can understand how an observer looking at that would see that number, and it could undermine the confidence in that process. But I think that the numbers need to be looked at in context. So in 2025, there were about 25 homeowner appeals to the License Appeal Tribunal. Those 25 cases are not a random sample of cases. Those cases represent the most difficult, challenging, and complex cases that we've seen in our system. The License Appeal Tribunal is a stop in the dispute resolution process, but it's not the first stop, it's the last stop. And for those 25 cases to get there, they have already gone through management review, Tarion's effort at resolving the file. They may have gone through mediation. They could have gone to the Ombuds office. They would have been reviewed by a lawyer. They would see a case conference in advance of the hearing. To put the number in context, you have to remember that 2,500 assessments were made in 2025. That means the 25 cases that go to the tribunal represent 1%. 99% of the cases are resolved, and 1% of the most difficult ones are left. Now, it goes without saying that although we're a consumer protection program, we operate under a statute, and there are limits, ultimately, to what we can do. And there are cases where, at the end of the day, we don't agree with a homeowner as to whether or not their issue is covered by the warranty. I don't want that to happen, but it does happen. And in 2025, it happened in several of the cases that went to the tribunal. But again, those cases aren't random selections. They are the most challenging cases that go through the system. And I don't think it's fair to judge the tribunal itself by those outcomes.
Thank you. We're going to take a second question online before we come back in the room.
Can Tarion issue a conciliation assessment report when there was no conciliation inspection requested, agreed to, or consented to?
Sophie, do you have an experience of that situation?
No, I don't. And just sitting, without knowing all the context, if we haven't done an actual inspection, we can do inspections by desk assessment. So if we have a report, for example, or a video or of that nature, we can issue a report after that, but we would look at that as being the conciliation. So I'm a little unclear as to the context of the question, but if we haven't actually either done any sort of assessment of the issue, we wouldn't issue a report typically, no.
Yeah, I would say if the person online who asked that question is watching, I'd invite you to reach out to our staff. I think we need a bit more particulars there to understand what's going on.
Thank you. Yes, please.
Hi, good evening. I'm currently an active real estate agent with a prestigious Midtown brokerage. My husband is a respected Canadian, and Tarion is currently recruiting me and my real estate colleagues to involve and support Tarion to our clients. Tarion writes they are committed to help new homeowners feel supported and protected every step of the way. Unfortunately, that hasn't been my experience for the last 6 torturous Tarion years. 6 years, and I'm still working on a resolution. In our 70s and 80s, we decided to downsize to a new build, expecting to have a carefree last chapter. Unfortunately, we purchased a home with major deficiencies. I've been forced to spend countless hours dealing with Tarion. There has been a parade of texts, trades, thousands and thousands of dollars spent in an attempt to secure our investment and fix our home. Like many homeowners involved with what they thought was a consumer protection agency, we had sleepless nights, unnecessary stress, compromised my health, lost income, and financial burdens. I was going to say there was a litany of improprieties, which I can mention. The builder has been allowed to send defaming emails. The builder has been allowed to put emails unvetted into my personal file. It took almost a year for anyone to look at my year 1. When we went to LAT and got your decision letter, there were specific things missing in that, which we identified and didn't ever receive. One of our major issues was something to do with maintenance. And in January 2024, the director of warranty writes it's not a maintenance issue. The builder wrote the same thing. But Tarion proceeded, actually it was the manager, actually. Tarion proceeded to aggressively pursue a lack of maintenance agenda and refused warranting that particular item. Builder excuses have never been back-checked. I talked to you about that, Peter, 2 years ago. Nothing has changed.
I'm sorry, I'm just
But what
gonna.
I'm really going to talk about and what I'm going to get to right
Yeah,
now, and I
thank
know you
you.
want to cut me off,
Yeah.
but I'm going
No,
to
no,
tell
it's
you.
okay.
I
You can
just
let her.
wanna hear
You
your
can let her finish.
question.
Just let
Yeah.
her
Okay,
finish.
I've had 6 years and thousands of
No,
dollars.
I can feel
okay?
your passion, absolutely.
Anyway, the latest thing is, I live in a group of townhomes. There's 5 townhomes. We've had 12 incidences of water, which we've talked about ad nauseum. I have produced, on the last, I finally got an actual roofer to come, and I produced to him an opinion letter that I'd spent $700 on to have an expert roof consultant write and come and look at it. I showed him Avenue Road roofing report. The rep was there, the manager's rep was there. They read the material, they took pictures of it. I got the report back. The one opinion said membrane is the problem. That was his last line, it's membrane. What we've got with the roof, we've got a membrane, we've got a scupper, a way to get rid of water. It's not that complicated. Anyway, when I got the report back, there's no mention of a membrane. The director of warranty, I had brought that to his attention. That didn't seem to be a concern. Anyway, and in the meantime, more people have had water. Thursday night, my whole house is covered in water. I have $60,000 in emergency maintenance. They're telling me I have to move out of my house for 2 months. My entire house is covered in tubes and heaters and floor mats. They've holes in my ceiling. All of this could be avoided. When you have 12 issues, when I moved in, 4 months after I moved in, we had water, and it was blamed on the homeowner's maintenance. They hadn't cleared the scuppers. I hadn't even lived there when the leaves fell. And 4 homeowners had it at the same time on the same day because it's volume and velocity. I've talked about this forever. I've talked about it to Tom. I've talked about it to Sophie. Of course, Dave Sicanti too, and the rep. Anyway, with no solution, and now I'm in a situation where there's $200 to $300 damage, and they've sent their roofer, and guess what the problem is? And I can see it. You can see the membrane doesn't go up high enough. I'm not a roofer. I read on the internet that the membrane has to come up and over the door. So membrane, flashing, lots of issues. But definitely not scuppers, because I spend $100 every month to have some guy come and clean the scuppers, and I videotape it, and I have that video from a few weeks ago. And that's my story. And you know what? We are good community citizens, and I feel that we have been treated very badly by Tarion. And anyway, I have a lot of evidence on it if you're ever interested. I've asked to come in and sit down. I saw my file, which the first 40 pages were emails that the builders, Tarion rep for 25 years, who knew every trick in the book, had shot in through some avenue without anyone looking at them. Anyway, it's terrible what's happened. And you know, one of my major issues was on my PDI. It didn't even work before we moved in. I have 26 pages in the first 6 months of one of the companies that we have a problem with, back and forth. The owner of the company, the director, everyone trying to fix my issue, and the builder not involved. And then when the maintenance with the whatever ran out, warranty ran out, you know, he didn't want to pay anything, of course, so that was more of a problem. Anyway, that's my story, and it doesn't seem right. And you know what? When I think what happened to me, I can't believe I live in Ontario, Canada, and this could happen to me, that this was allowed.
So let me just start by saying I appreciate that you came in person to tell your story. It won't surprise you to hear me say it makes me feel uncomfortable to hear it, and I hope it makes the executives...
Can you drive by my house? You just live a couple blocks away. I want you to come in and see.
I will... What I want to say is, obviously, I can't address it from the stage, but I will undertake to review the file with you, and if that, to move it forward, involves visiting your home, I'm prepared to do that. I just want to say to you that I appreciate you telling your story, and to the extent that it makes us hearing it and it makes folks in the audience feel uncomfortable, I think that's an important part of why we have these kinds of sessions. There is a second half. Sophie Vlahakis, we are here. And my commitment to you, again, I can't address it from the stage, but I can commit to connecting you again. I know you're far through the process, and it may be, I want to make sure I don't say anything that I can't deliver on. So I don't know at the end of the day. I don't know at the end of the day what the full reasons were for the denial of the claim that you had, and I'm not sure if there is a path to a different resolution, but I can commit to talking and working with you as best we can to make the options clear.
Thank you, but I will tell you too that the roofer, the roofer that Tarion sent, I made a personal call to him after I read his report, and I said, why didn't you mention the membrane? And why didn't you bother to go up on the top roof where there's no eaves trough and the water pours down? And he said, oh, I was just told to do a cursory inspection. Anyway. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. We're going to go to the next question online, please.
Are common elements covered by Tarion warranty?
Common elements are covered by Tarion for standard condominiums. But if the question is with regards to a common element condo, that's not something our legislation gives protection to. So the simple answer is common elements are covered by Tarion for standard condominiums.
Thank you. Next in person.
Hi. Actually, that was a good question because mine is very similar to that one. So it has to be specific to my file, but what it is that as a new homeowner and of a condo unit, I made usage of your Tarion website to make claims for my personal unit, making warranty claims, and so I was happy with that. However, the developer has not delivered on the amenities, common elements, common spaces, common areas. So I've been trying to see how I can, file any claims as an owner. However, after some research, and correct me if I'm wrong, the board members are able to make those claims through Tarion. However, that is decided by 3 people, and well, it's specific to my claim is that my file is that one of the board member is a developer employee, and so I am not sure why they're not, going through the process of making a warranty claim for our amenities and common shared spaces. But I'm wondering if cases like these has been acknowledged, and what as Tarion are going to, in the future going to do about it. Yeah.
So a couple things there. One is you made reference to the fact that you've made claims for your specific unit, which is what the requirement is as a unit owner. With regards to the common elements, you are correct that it's actually the condominium corporation that must make that claim to Tarion for those defects. Under the Condominium Act, it's actually a requirement for the condominium corporation to make the common element defects. As a unit owner, I would always suggest to unit owners, they should let their board of directors, who is appointed by the unit owners, make sure that you report those defects to your condo board. There is another body actually that deals with discrepancies between homeowners and their condo boards. We typically don't get involved in those situations.
Yeah, I would also just add, listening to your story, that it doesn't sound right that the board is control, or that a third of the board is the developer. So I would invite you to stay after so we can better understand. I mean, if there's something that we can do, we'll see if we can help.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Oh, sorry, but who is like the best point of contact that I can talk to about this, though? I guess.
So for now, it's going to be Kevin and I will meet and talk to you after. We may have to take the issue away, but there are other authorities that have more specific responsibility for developers, for example, and condos and condo boards. So the CMRAO, the CAO, and even the HCRA all have some jurisdiction. But I think we can help you navigate that. And if we can help you figure out which person or which entity can help you, we'll help point you in the right direction. So I think if we can talk to you after, that would be a good idea.
Okay, yeah, I can like talk more about that because I've tried those avenues and had little to no success. But yeah, I'll stay for the second half. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Excellent, thank you. So we are coming to the end of our first part of the Q&A. We've got maybe less than 3 minutes left, so I'm going to try for another question online before we go to one, if we can get 2 questions in person. But as a reminder, you're invited to stay. The senior team is going to stay here. They'll be able to talk to you about your personal files. And if you're online, the team will continue to answer your emails at events@tarion.com until 7 o'clock. Okay, so Melanie, can we take another question online, please?
Okay, will you be cutting staff since your home enrollments have declined dramatically?
That is a very understandable question, particularly when you look at the pressure industry is under. You're seeing organizations, not just in the real estate industry, organizations cutting staff all over the place in reaction to the pressure that the economy is under. But there's also a really important context that I'm happy I have the opportunity to explore. And that is the nature of the work that Tarion does and when that work is needed. So the Tarion work, it's true that the enrollments, the home enrollments, are very low, historically low right now. But the home possessions, the number of people that are moving into their houses, is still high. In 2025, there were 55,000 people who moved into their home. Why is that, and how do those things relate? Well, in 2021, 2022, and 2023, in the province of Ontario, there was record sales activity. In 2022, 2023, you had over 70,000, each year, over 70,000 new units of home construction being sold in the province. All of those sales a couple of years ago are turning into possessions today. All of those new homeowners may need Tarion help. So there is a big difference between enrollments and possession workload. In addition, and on top of that, as you heard from Edmond's presentation, builder insolvencies over the last 2 years have been massively higher than before. And when a builder goes bankrupt, not only do we have to be there to help homeowners with deposits, but every home that a bankrupt builder delivered but isn't there to service, we have to service that. So right now, even though home enrollments are dropping, the need for a program like Tarion is actually at its highest. Now, That being said, we have an eye on the bottom line as well. Efficiency is of paramount importance, and we're also aware that in the coming years, those possessions ought to decline. And if you look at our published business plan, which is on our website, you'll see that over the next 3 years, we see Tarion becoming a smaller organization to adjust to the need in Ontario. But right now, at this moment, the need is as high as it's ever been.
Thank you. We're over time, so I'm going to go to one more
I'll make
in
it real
person,
quick.
and then Barbara, if it's okay, if you could talk to someone when we
It's
go
okay,
into
we
the
can just do
second
two. Let's just do both questions and respect people.
Okay.
Peter, I'll talk to you about the specifics of the case, my case right after. But in the spirit of builder accountability, continuous improvement, my independent experts and Tarion's own engineer identified many OBC violations related to our home. We presented these to Tarion last July, so 2025. And my understanding is Tarion forwards these OBC violations to HCRA. That gets updated daily. We checked today on the builder's profile. Their profile indicates 0 OBC violations. So just in the spirit of holding builders accountable, there's good builders that take great pride in doing a good job. Others, in this case with this many OBC violations, not so much. So how can consumers make informed decisions about informed purchasing decisions if there's significant code deficiencies that happen, but they're not recorded and available to the public?
Yeah, that's also a good question. I want to answer it, and I have to be a bit cautious. I don't know the details of the file, and I will like to speak with you after. But I want to make it clear that the way that the builder directory works, it discloses building code violations when the building code violations form part of a Tarion warranty assessment.
They were.
And they were. Okay, so I need to speak with you after to figure out why. Because that, my understanding is that if it's defined as a building, if it's found as a building code warranty violation, that we would post it. So there might be an explanation for it that I just don't have in front of me. But I'd be happy to talk to you about it after.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Barbara.
Just very quickly, you said that you did 120 mediations in 2025. I'd just like to know how many of those were decided or actually resolved homeowner issues, because there's no data published on that.
So in 2025, and Sophie can correct me if she has a more up-to-date data, but in 2025, there were 120 mediations where the homeowners voluntarily chose that as a process to resolve their disputes. And I think about 60% of those mediations resulted in a consent solution. About 25 of them didn't resolve, and those ended up going to the License Appeal Tribunal. And I think about 10% of them were referred back to the claims process, so there's ongoing engagement. But about 60% of them resulted in a situation where the parties mutually agreed on a resolution.
Thank you. This brings us to the end of the live stream portion of Tarion's 2026 annual public meeting. On behalf of Tarion, I would like to thank you for participating this evening. If you're interested in learning more about Tarion's activities, I invite you to visit tarion.com and download the 2025 annual report. We'll now be closing the live stream session and inviting those who are present to bring any file-specific issues forward to the Tarion team. You'll see we have warranty service staff and underwriting staff in the back. You can identify them with their Tarion vests and clothing. And the executive team and the board chair will remain in to hear your questions until 7 o'clock. Tom Barber, the ombudsman person, is here and has a separate room that you can speak to him in as well. For those of you online, I remind you that you can still email your questions to events@tarion.com. Thank you again for joining us for Tarion's 2026 annual public meeting. Have a good night.